Joining me now is Shadow Industrial Relations Minister Tony Burke. Mr Burke, thanks for joining us, and I'll ask you about the train strike, which I bet you can't wait to comment on.
I can show you the picture behind me, Andrew, is not what it looks like in Sydney at the moment.
All right, but first, obviously, on more serious matters, look, the opposition's response to developments in the Ukraine, it's looking like very bad news there, isn't it?
We condemn what Russia's done today in the recognition that they've given to those territories. Labor stands with Ukraine, Australia stands with Ukraine, we stand with our allies. There's a series of steps that Australia and our allies will now be considering, but people should be in absolutely no doubt that what Russia has done today is not consistent with principles of international order. It's to be condemned, and we stand with Ukraine.
What sort of sanctions do you think the government and other Western governments should consider here?
I think what'll matter will be that it's done in a coordinated way. So that's a conversation for Australia to have with our allies. There are a series of different ways that response could happen, but there will be a response and there needs to be one.
Obviously, often when there's a war, it can change an election campaign. You're well in front at the moment. Do you see this as potentially to the government's advantage? Could this change the political settings in Australia?
I don't see this in partisan political terms at all, Andrew. Not for a minute. I see this entirely as an issue where Australia is united, where there is appalling behaviour going on from Russia, and nobody should think that there is any division here in Australia at all. That would not be in the national interest. It'd not be the right thing, and it'd simply be untrue. There's real unity here in opposition to what's happening.
Well, the government obviously sees and talks about a difference on national security. What did you think of the Antarctica announcement today and the fact that even that was tied to China and Russia by Scott Morrison?
Oh, look, can I say, as Environment Minister previously, I've had responsibility for Antarctica. And Antarctica does, because it involves, it's the biggest conservation decision ever made in the history of the planet. But it also, because there's overlapping territorial claims, there has always been a security interest in Antarctica as well. The way that you assert your claims in Antarctica is through scientific engagement and through activity. And so we'll look through what the government's announced today. It looks on the face of it like a lot of it, from what we've been told so far, over the next few years is just assigning money that was already there. It looks like in about 6 years' time or thereabouts, there may be some additional money sort of at the election after the next election. But we'll work through the detail there. But when Australia has a territorial claim, the way you assert this claim is different to any other part of the planet, and it needs to be dealt with responsibly.